Live from Charlotte, this is WBTV News, on your side.
Now at 6.
What do we want? Funding! What do we want? Now!
Tens of thousands of teachers, parents, and even students march on Raleigh, demanding respect and higher pay for educators.
You need the pencils, you need the crayons. The money's supposedly there, but it never gets to you.
Teachers say the quality of your child's education is at stake. We're on your side with live team coverage.
The work is not done until we see the funds.
The Rally for Respect in Raleigh continues this afternoon. We want to go live to our Jamie Bowl, who is anchoring our coverage from the state capitol today. And Jamie, I know the rally kicked off about 30 minutes ago, but the teachers have been in the state capitol all day.
They have. It has been a long day, Brigida. They have been battling the heat and the humidity, dodging a few raindrops along the way, but they are here certainly to have their voices heard. We are right here on Bicentennial Plaza. That is right between the Capitol, which is in front of me, and the General Assembly, which is right here behind me. And as you mentioned, the Rally for Respect began about 30 minutes ago. You can hear the roars probably behind me as various speakers are making their point today, trying again to get their message heard about the changes that they would like to see in the state education system.
We are on your side with the most complete live team coverage. We're going to start with our Dedrick Russell, who has been with teachers all day long. He is Charlotte's only reporter dedicated to covering education. So, Dedrick, what was it like to be in the midst of that sea of red, those teachers who are really passionate?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Maureen. It was energetic. And since covering education, I have never seen this many teachers invade the state capitol at one time with one voice, one message, and one assignment. Teachers came to this march by buses, cars, and trains. They had chants.
What do we want? Funding! What do we want? Now!
And they had signs. Lots of them, most of them targeting lawmakers. Teachers call this march historical and effective.
It was literally amazing, man. I'm telling you, to see almost 20,000 teachers coming together for our students.
Wayne Worrell teaches in the rural part of Wayne County. He says the funding in his classroom is lacking. That's why he marched today.
We want to make sure that everything is up to date. Our technology is up to date. Every kid has the opportunity to have an iPad or those type of things within the school.
North Carolina spends about $9,000 to educate each student. The national average for per pupil expenditure is about $12,000. Teachers believe if North Carolina spent more money on students, they would benefit in lots of areas.
That means more nurses, psychologists, more teacher assistants, more textbooks, more desks, more everything.
Teachers are not giving up.
The work is not done until we see the funds.
Teachers met with lawmakers one-on-one asking for change.
We go home, we get organized, we vote.
Teachers say this mission is not all about them, but more about their students.
We believe our children are very important. They're vital pieces to our community.
This broadcast is sponsored in part by Hendrick Automotive Group. On your side tonight with Jamie Bowl starts now.
And good evening and welcome to Raleigh for a special edition of On Your Side Tonight. Capitol, or I should say Classroom to Capitol. That is what happened here today. All quiet now as we sit on Bicentennial Plaza, but certainly a much different scene earlier this morning and also earlier this afternoon. It was noisy, it was colorful, it was crowded. Thousands of teachers took the day off, forcing dozens of school districts to close over a lack of substitutes. They came here to exercise a right I'm sure many of them have taught over the years, that First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, teachers say those grievances include overall education funding, school safety, also working conditions and teacher pay. The march and rally comes as lawmakers return to work, opening their legislative session. So we want to begin tonight by showing you the sights and sounds of the day's events that began early this morning.
And I hope that by going to Raleigh today, everyone's going to see that we all fight together.
Too many people are getting nothing in the state state of North Carolina.
Hey everyone, it's Nick Oxner. We're inside the North Carolina General Assembly building right now, looking out onto the Bicentennial Plaza where the teacher march has just made its way to the General Assembly building. You see everyone decked out all in red. There was a little bit of rain this morning, but remarkably, as the teachers reached the building, the sun just came out.
The U.S. Senate just adjourned after the sergeants in arms could not quiet the ralliers.
Mr. President, Senator Burton move that the Senate do now adjourn, subject to Senate Rule 24.1, receipt of House messages, to reconvene on Thursday, May 17, 2018 at 10 a.m.
It was literally amazing, man. I'm telling you, to see almost 20,000 teachers coming together for our students. It wasn't really about us.
Well, as you saw, the day began with that march from the North Carolina Education Association headquarters down Salisbury Street and into the Legislative Building's third floor as the General Assembly session began around noon. 3,000 teachers were allowed into the building. The maximum capacity there inside is 4,000. Teachers called this a march for the students. So what exactly are they looking for? Let's talk about that. More spending per student is one of their main agenda items, otherwise known as per pupil spending. A better classroom work environment and also more school security. So let's start with that per pupil spending question. What is that exactly? Well, it's found by dividing all the money the state spends on public schools by the number of students enrolled. This finds how much money is spent per student on things like teacher salaries, textbooks, transportation, and lunches. Now, according to the National Education Association, in 2017, North Carolina spent about $9,000 per student. Right now, we rank 43rd in the country. The national average was nearly $12,000 in 2017. Teachers say they're also using more of their own money in the classroom for the materials that they need every single day. And just yesterday, the National Center of Education Statistics revealed most public school teachers spend about $680 of their own money on everyday supplies. I'm sure as parents at home, you've also gotten those emails of some things that teachers need inside their classrooms. This is not, though, a North Carolina specific problem. This has been an issue certainly across the country. Education spending nationwide has struggled since the Great Recession hit back in 2008. The national average began dipping around that time, and it didn't start going up until the 2013-2014 school year. But now it's only just reaching what schools were spending on students in 2009. Factor in inflation, and they're actually spending less. We can show you a graph right here by Public Schools First. Focuses on how spending has changed in North Carolina since 2005. But it adjusts the amount based on inflation. You can see it's better than before, but still very low compared to the amounts before the recession. Now, teachers also would like to see a statewide school construction bond to fix some of the crumbling schools that many of them are working in, also to help reduce classroom sizes. Last year, the General Assembly did pass legislation to reduce class sizes for kindergarten through third grade. That goes into effect in the 2021 school year, cutting class sizes from 20 down to 17 students. But teachers also question, though, because they say they aren't getting any extra funding to pay for additional teachers in those classrooms, and there's no cap on grades after third. So in some cases, they say they have 30 or more students in some of their classrooms. The next thing that teachers want for their schools is resources like counselors to improve school safety. According to a report by the state legislature, there is about one school counselor per every 350 students in North Carolina. Teachers say that's not nearly enough to give kids the help they need when they are struggling. They want more counselors, more nurses, more social workers to bring that average down to one per every 250. That is the federally recommended ratio. Now, late this afternoon, the focus then shifted to teacher compensation. Teachers held what they called a rally for respect right here on the Bicentennial Plaza across from the Legislative Building. Here's some of the highlights from that rally.
Let me tell you, May 16th is only the beginning. This is the beginning of a 6-month stretch of time where we hold our elected leaders accountable for prioritizing.
We have to send a message that if these politicians continue to fail us,
Let me give you some quick numbers on all this. These, again, according to the National Education Association, the average teacher salary here in the state of North Carolina is about $50,000. We rank 37th in the country overall. We're about $9,000 below what is the national average. Teachers say they want their pay to be on par with that national average within the next 4 years. Now, pay has certainly gone up since 2013. You can see the ranking trends here. But when you factor in inflation, teachers make about 9% less than they would have in 2009. House Speaker Tim Moore says the rhetoric, though, has really been overblown. He says, according to that same data, North Carolina teachers had the nation's second highest teacher pay raise increase between 2016 and 2017. Both Republicans and Democrats certainly want to give teachers more pay if they can. Republicans have pledged an average 6% pay raise next school year. They say instead of catching up to the average right now, they want to give bonuses for high performers or for teaching jobs in high demand subjects. They want to keep all planned tax cuts that are ready now. Meanwhile, Democrats say they want to give teachers an 8% raise next year to catch up with that average sooner. And they want raises for veteran teachers and also most of the planned tax cuts except the ones on businesses and individuals who have an income over $200,000. All right, we have set up a lot of information for you, and we are joined now by Republican Senator Jeff Tart, Democratic Senator Jeff Jackson to talk more about all that transpired today. Gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. Senator Tart, I'll start with you. I guess your party's in power, so you're going to have a lot to say in what happens going forward, I should say. Anything move the needle for you today that you heard?
Well, first let me preface it, Jamie, by saying we need to depoliticize this whole thing. This is a really nonpartisan issue. We all care about educating our kids, and it should be top priority. That said, yeah, I mean, it was an awesome event having all the teachers here. We spent time learning other issues. It's not just about pay, right? Mm-hmm. So they got issues with peer review. They got issues with classroom size in the high school. I had teachers here that were telling me they had 40 kids in a class. That's unacceptable. We've got other issues around over-testing. They're third graders. They spend more days testing than teaching. Those things got to change, and we can help that.
Senator Jackson, certainly we know North Carolina fell behind, as many states did post-recession. But we are making some gains again. Is it unrealistic to expect us to make it all back, in 1 or 2 years?
I don't think anyone expected us to make it all back in 1 or 2 years, but we could be in a better spot than we are these years after the recession. A lot of other states have done a lot better than we have as far as reinvesting in public education coming out of the recession. I heard from dozens of teachers today, and their stories are incredible. As Senator Tart said, 40 kids in a classroom. Mm-hmm. We have schools with 4 dozen trailers. We've got 35 kids in a trailer that was designed for elementary kids that has high school kids. I mean, it's a real dire situation in a lot of our public schools.
One issue that certainly came up today, the teachers have also talked about it. The governor mentioned it, giving up the business tax cuts that are planned. Is that on the table at all, or is that a non-starter?
Well, I think all things are on the table to consider that allow us to support education and, again, as you said, move the needle.
What do you think?
If we're going to move the needle, then we have to stop cutting our corporate tax rate. This is ultimately a conversation about taxation. In North Carolina, there's a direct connection between taxation and public education because public education is the only pot of money big enough to pay for these massive corporate tax cuts. He's talking about freezing it because we've cut it every year for the last several years.
Is there going to be any appetite for that, though, in your caucus?
In terms of
the tax cuts and freezing them?
Well, what we've seen is and it's a classic supply-side economics. I mean, it's been pretty successful, and that's why we've had the success of changing the revenues. We were running $2 billion annual deficits. We had no money to give to anybody. We're now running $300 million surpluses, and that's from lowering rates, increasing and spreading the base, and being fair in how we apply our tax structure.
Real quick, where's the common ground going to be found? Can it be on perhaps this school construction bond?
Sure.
Yes, I think that is a real area where there could be common ground found.
We need to add seats. There's no questions. We need to simple things. We don't necessarily control that as a line item budget, but the fact that teachers are having to spend their own money for supplies. My kids are K through 12 CMS educated. 25 years ago, we were doing the same thing. We were still giving and having to buy reams of paper for teachers. That needs to stop.
Senators Tart, Senators Jackson, I appreciate you guys staying up with us here and coming over and talking more about what was really an interesting day, certainly here in the Raleigh Capitol, and quite some visual images as well.
Wonderful day.
We'll be following the debate closely. Again, gentlemen, thank you.
Appreciate having us.
For being here. Absolutely.